Let us discuss e-business. We will start by defining e-business and e-commerce and explains the difference between them. List the major categories of e-business. Describe advantages and disadvantages of e-commerce. Outline the business to consumer e-commerce cycle. Summarize the major models of e-commerce. Discuss the different technologies used in e-commerce and explains social commerce and new retail and the reasons for its increasing popularity. So let's define e-business. So e-business is the short form for electronic business. In a broad sense is the use of computer networks to improve organizational performance, increasing profitability, gaining market share, improving customer service, and delivering products faster are some of the organizational performance gains possible by doing business electronically. So, e business is a broader term used for a range of activities within business, including e commerce. So, let's understand what all does e business involve. So, e business, of course, involves e commerce, which is the revenue generating transactional part wherein the business is selling products and services and receiving money in lieu of it. Only that commercial part is referred to as e-commerce, though many people interchangeably use e-commerce and e-business. So the other dimensions involve enterprise resource management, whether it is a financial resource or a human resource. How do we kind of bring all these resources together to create value and conduct the activities of the businesses more efficiently. E-business also involves supply chain management. Supply chain management, on one hand, is the acquisition of the raw material, uh, and on the other end is the end consumer who is going to consume the products and services. In between, the value add happens through the supply chain. Customer relationship management involves lead generation, lead nurturing, customer acquisition, sales, after sales support, customer help desk, etc. etc. All these form part of the customer relationship management. Then we have business intelligence. Business intelligence pertains to monitoring the business and the competitive landscape monitoring, wherein the activities are analyzed on a regular basis, more often through visual representation and statistical summarization to keep an eye on the performance of the business. Electronic transfer within firm, whether it is of documents, whether it is version controlling, or whether it is the transfer of money and other resources, form fall within this space. This is also a part of what we call as business process management, sometimes involves business process re-engineering. Another aspect is the collaboration within the organization among the departments, collaboration with the partners, collaboration with the vendors and suppliers and customers. So there are whole range of possibilities here how a company conducts its business. And finally, the online activities between businesses, whether it is the exchange of emails, whether it is the coordination of new product creation, or it is the activities of the associations and the chambers and the industry consortium, trade fairs, etc. etc. So these are the different aspects of e-business, in which e-commerce is only one of the aspect. So what is e-commerce in particular? So e-commerce is the electronic platform used for undertaking the commercial activity for the business. So the e-commerce began with the first ever sale on August 11, 1994, wherein a man sold a CD by string to his friend through his website Netmarket. And this is the first example of a consumer purchasing a product from business through the internet. Now, whether all businesses should be conducted through the internet or not, that's a question that we can take a look at and determine when e-commerce is good and when it is not so useful. So let's understand the advantages and disadvantages. It is important to understand the advantages and disadvantages of the e-commerce model compared to the traditional brick and mortar businesses. So businesses need to understand their customers and their needs as well as the value of this model. So let's talk about the advantages first. So e-commerce provides access to the entire globe as a market. So your market is expanded because electronically you can reach anywhere on the globe in a fraction of a second. Other is the availability of the products and services, because you don't need somebody to monitor or manage the business. The business is now available 24/7, where any customer can just type in the name of the business in the browser and start accessing its products and services, and in fact even conduct the commercial activity as well. It reduces the cost because brick and mortar involves making the inventory available at every single location where you have the physical presence. Whereas in case of e-commerce, you don't need to have this distributed inventory. Instead, you can have a common inventory pool and courier it anywhere on the globe. It improves efficiency because the time taken for a customer to think about a product and actually start browsing for the product and buying it and then acquiring it. It is lot easier, lot efficient, and no salesperson may be required majority of time, and customer does much of the work for acquiring the product and service. We also have improved customer service, as the customers can just simply leave a message or send an email for what they want or if they are facing any issues. So these are the advantages of the e-commerce. Let's talk about some disadvantages. So the first one is the technical and accessibility issues. A large segment of the world is currently not under internet coverage, and many of them who have internet coverage are not tech savvy or technically sound enough to use the internet, whether it is to make the payment online through the online portals or whether to provide the necessary information to complete the e-commerce transaction. So your market may not have a complete reach through the internet alone. Number two is the security and the privacy issues. We have already seen the security and privacy are the big concerns in the digital space, because all the data is there in the hardware it is only controlled through the software access through passwords and multi-factor authentication. If somebody can find a loophole to bypass these mechanisms, they can have the complete access to the data completely without any barriers. In terms of privacy issues, a digital record available on the net, unless properly configured for access, may reveal unnecessary information to the public. Finally, establishing customer trust and satisfaction. When we are talking about the trusted brands, there is a certain promise and there is a certain quality expectation. But when it comes to the new startups, one may not necessarily have sufficient trust with the uh, business doing the selling. And in terms of satisfaction, there are certain products which may not suit a person's requirement, but they have no way to ascertain whether that product suits them or not. And many times the colors that appear on the web may not necessarily be the actual color when you see it in the daylight. Other thing is, in a brick and mortar space, one can do a sampling and determine whether you want to acquire X product or a Y product, but in the online space, those kind of options aren't available. So, given these factors, should every business get online? If yes, to what extent they should have their online presence? So for this we consider two factors. One, how many existing or potential customers are likely to do business online, and what is the information intensity of the product. So we can actually have a simple 2x2 grid here, where we look at on one dimension the access to the potential customers online from between low and high, and the information intensity between low and high. So let's kind of talk about a situation where both of these are low, that less number of customers are available online and the information intensity is also very low. Such kind of businesses could be food and beverages, where the information intensity is very little and a significantly large number of people may not go to the web when they think about the food. On the other hand, we can talk about low information intensity but high number of customers available online. It could be something like a corporate which wants to manage its office supplies. So one can actually look for the services of office supply and outsource their needs to a third party agency like Staples or 3M. Let's look at the other aspect wherein high information intensity is there but less number of customers are available online to do business. So that could be, we can think about the electronic gadgets. People are acquiring the electronic gadgets through which they can potentially become the new set of customers who have the access to the devices and the necessary resource to do business online. Consumer electronics is one of those segment. And let's talk about the last category, which is the high number of customers available online and high information intensity, which could be industrial products, machineries. It could be acquisition of sophisticated specialized machines. One can take into account the degree of number of customers available online and information intensity to determine what businesses can be brought online successfully. There is one more challenge that I would like to discuss here, is the kind of risk that the e-commerce help companies diversify. First one is the demand risk, because in the brick and mortar you are primarily addressing the niche local captive audience who would come for the business. But in the case of electronic world, the demand risk is significantly minimized through diversification, as the business can be conducted in larger area of the globe. So if demand goes down in one side, it can be made up by demand increasing on the other side. And since the products are not physically at the different places, one can just use the courier to transport the products in the areas of high demand very easily without an issue. Another challenge is that of the innovation risk. So when we are looking at the products being made available more widely over the globe, one can easily gather the feedback from the customers, because different geographies, different customer segments may have different way of understanding and using the product. So customers can provide feedback and sometimes give ideas or reposition and repurpose the products to advantage of the company. Next is the inefficiency risk, wherein any business can be challenged very easily by a competitor by coming up with a more competitive or more useful product to the market. So that kind of creates an incentive to eliminate any inefficiencies in the business, and overall everybody gains through the e-commerce. So let's talk about the different types of e-commerce. First one is business to business, wherein two businesses are interacting with each other, and this is one of the very large segments in the e-commerce space. For example, software as a service is one such product which businesses use. Office supplies is a very common product, whether it is Xerox machines or whether it is staplers and the other office utilities. Next segment is the business to consumer, which is the commonly known online retail stores like Amazon or Walmart or Atlantic Superstore, etc., etc. Next segment that I can talk about is C2C, when the consumers are transacting with another consumer. For example, we have eBay, we have Kijiji, we have Facebook Marketplace, and so on, which is an example of the C2C e-commerce. Another new area of e-commerce that has emerged in the recent time is C2B, that is consumer to business segment. Here an influencer can transact business with the businesses, or maybe a photographer who just does photography as a hobby can actually build a portfolio and do a photograph licensing business to the large corporates and the businesses. It has also kind of created the option for the artists and the creators who can conduct e-commerce with the businesses very easily. Besides this, I can even talk about business to government, wherein businesses can actually file their regular regular taxation, business taxations, licenses, or maybe registration of the businesses that can be done between the businesses and the government. And similarly, we can also talk about consumer to government, such as renewing the driving license or registering the car or acquiring the passport from the government. These are all examples of the e-commerce wherein the consumer and the governments interact with each other. There is one more segment which is similar to consumer, but it is called as P2P, which is peer to peer. So consumer to consumer and peer to peer appear similar, but in case of peer to peer, what happens is there is a sharing of the common resource or an existing redundant resource with with someone uh, who would like to use it for a short period of time. An example could be Airbnb, wherein people can just share their room for a short period of time when they're not using it. Or we can talk about car sharing rental, where people, when they're not using their car, they can use to to make some money by giving it to people who need it for a certain period of time. So these are the different examples of e-commerce. So e-commerce business model is, let's kind of talk about the business models that a business uses to generate revenue online. So e-commerce can take a variety of forms involving different transactional relationships between businesses and consumers. One of the very common one is the retail, which is between the business and the consumer. Another is the wholesale, where intermediate, small, medium enterprises can engage with the large corporations. There is another model which we call it as the drop shipping model, wherein the buyer and the seller are coordinated, or somebody can become a marketplace. Let us say somebody runs a blog where a lot of people visit and engage on a particular web portal. So one can actually do a e-commerce by driving the traffic from their blogging website or their video creation or the art website to the consumers, where the supplier gives some commission to a intermediate uh, website which has a lot of footfall and sell it to the customer. So that's a drop shipping model. Another model that has emerged is that of crowdfunding, where a large number of people bring in small little pool of resource to create a much bigger value. An example could be a Kickstarter.com or GoIndigo or Indigo Nation, which are used for crowdfunding. Another model which has emerged because of the electronic business is subscription model, which involves Netflix or Spotify. So these are the subscription based businesses that could be created for these services. And finally, I can talk about transaction brokering websites, which are largely the aggregators of the services. It could be hotels.com, or it could be airline seat aggregators, or it could be Eventbrite, which kind of brokers the transaction between the event organizers and the potential users of it. So the e-commerce business to consumer cycle operates in a cyclical fashion, wherein a consumer visits a website, evaluates and shortlists the products, places the order, makes the payment. Once the payment is made, order is fulfilled and shipped. Once it is shipped, after sales support can be provided by the customer support, and the customer can again come back for another round of commercial transaction with the businesses. So, e-commerce platform is a way to build and create an online experience that allows a company to make sales and fulfill orders. While most people think an e-commerce platform is just a tool that provides a list of products and accepts payments online, but a e-commerce platform is much more than that. And e-commerce could be both hosted and self-hosted, or what we call as self-listed. So when we have hosted, we can actually outsource it to a expert company into e-commerce transactions like Shopify, and pay a monthly fee for use of the e-commerce platform. Or one can set up their own private server and keep all the data and set up the database and hire software engineers to develop and manage their own website. Another aspect which has evolved post the e-commerce is the blockchain and the Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a form of digital currency, sometimes referred to as cryptocurrency, because of the origin in the cryptography, which is a new form of money that is tradable throughout the world. It operates without involvement of central banks or a clearing house and runs as a P2P network. So Bitcoin actually uses the blockchain technology as a means of transaction money, and blockchain is nothing but a version control system wherein a version of a transaction cannot be modified independently by anybody unless and until all the previous transactions are validated and everybody agrees to a modification or have the same version of the copy of the transaction. So we use it in our regular basis. We have version control systems like GitHub, or we use version control system in our Word file or Excel, where we kind of create the multiple versions of the book. And when it is done in a distributed scale, wherein a large group of people are involved, we are able to create a immutable log of transactions, which is difficult or almost impossible to modify without allowing a large number of people know that somebody has made a change to the copy of the transaction linkages. Since these are the blocks of transaction chained together, this technology is called as blockchain. The emerging trends in the e-commerce is more towards the social commerce. Social commerce primarily pertains to the commerce done on the social media or through the use of social media. So social factors such as our attitudes, values, ethics and lifestyles influence what, how, where and when people purchase products or services. However, they can be difficult to predict, define and measure, making the job of marketing more challenging. So social media is an open platform wherein the control is with the large number of audience. So there are uses and abuses both of the social media. One can create fake reviews and fake ratings on the website, both positive or negative. Sometimes the complete narrative can be hijacked by the people and change the direction of the narrative with no control of the seller in the social media space. So, but at the same time, social media provides with lot of uh, valuable information about the customers, their choice, their preferences, their interests, their activities, etc. So, so it's a very powerful medium, but it can work either way. So a hashtag can become a hashtag in the social media space. So there is no one person controlling the direction of the communication on it. So using the any e-commerce or any marketing undertaken through the use of social media is called as social media marketing. As more and more people around the planet become connected through social media, the influence of these channels continues to grow. So these channels are becoming very important factors in the conduct of the commercial business. Besides social media, we can also talk about m-commerce, which is the mobile commerce, wherein the commerce is conducted through a mobile device or a portable device. Mobile devices come with their own set of limitations and advantages in terms of the screen real estate is limited, the computing power is different, and the way the device is used versus a laptop or a computer, they are two different. Something can be done on the go, whereas other thing cannot be used on the go. So e-business and e-commerce are not synonymous terms. E-business consists of several major components, one of which is e-commerce. Every internet business is either pure play or an internet presence only, or a brick and mortar, brick and click, having both physical and an online presence. And there are some businesses which are purely brick and mortar as well. The seven major types of e-commerce are B2B, B2C, C2C, B2G, C2B, m-commerce, that's mobile commerce, and P2P. An e-commerce business model is the method that a business uses to generate revenue online. Some models are very simple, others are more complicated. New business models are being introduced all the time, and we have looked at the range of retail to transaction brokering. A whole range of business models are there for conducting the e-business. Different technologies can be used for e-commerce, including all-in-one e-commerce platforms and digital payment systems. Blockchain, which is a digital distributed record of transactions, is being leveraged for Bitcoin, which is a cryptocurrency that can be used for digital payment. There is an advantage of the blockchain based cryptocurrencies. That one, the transaction fee is very low. Two, there are no intermediaries involved. But at the same time, the government may not necessarily have the oversight over the transactions being done using blockchain. So that could be a cause of concern. Social media platforms are popular tools for marketers to promote products and services and glean valuable customer data. So social media platforms are becoming more popular now. And finally, the new retail blurs the new line between offline and online commerce to improve the customer service, as customers can seamlessly switch from offline to online without experiencing any glitch in their transaction. Thank you.